politicians will respect what we want. It is when we don't want it and then we go home to relax. People in Kanu, do they have two heads? No. So that Kanu has shown us how to do it. We can do it. If we want to vote and say our votes will count, how many people will they kill? Kenneth Okonkwo is not part of us. He doesn't know what he came from APC to join us. He wasn't part of what we're doing. Never. So if he now goes and Atiku now offers him money to be working for him and he start talking,
Are you
I don't take such people seriously.
insinuating that he may have taken money for Atiku and he's working for Atiku right now? Is that what you're saying, sir?
My brother, if you see a politician who is not in one place, don't forget who Kenneth is. He's a movie man. He works with the entertainment industry. For him to leave it and now come to politics where we are, you need to have that staying power. We forced him.
So Peter Obi didn't want to contest in 2023. Is that what you're saying?
He never wanted to contest against Atiku.
Wow.
Never.
Oh, so he was so loyal to Atiku.
He never wanted to go against Atiku.
So he was so loyal to Atiku that he never wanted to contest at the same time with Atiku.
Against Atiku. That was just the truth. So he had somebody say, Peter Obi, disappoint you for what? Were you part of us? Kenneth Okonkwo was never part of us. He was not part of. We formed what we formed in the PDP. Kenneth Okonkwo was in APC. Not part of us now. So how can you come to Peter Obi disappointed you? Disappointed you for what? You came and joined us. Did you ask us what we're doing? You just want to follow any wave that is on without knowing the fundamentals that actually staged and in place that particular movement. I know that the system is afraid of Peter Obi. The government is aware of Peter Obi's performance in the last elections, and they know he is their main problem, not Atiku. Never mind the fraudulent things that INEC wrote. Those things don't mean nothing. They know a lot about the true numbers of the voting results than they are willing to admit to the general public. It was Atiku. He was at the head of that caucus called MPDP. The inside that caucus was Chibika Mechi, and that was how all of them, together with Tinubu, Buhari, and all, floated that coalition called the APC. Atiku didn't have the patience to wait on what his creation will bring. When he saw that Tinubu Buhari was preparing to run for a second term, he now left that coalition called APC and ran back to PDP. If Atiku had respected inclusion, I don't think he would have been running for election in a way that would have damaged the opposition. If Buhari, who identifies as a Fulani, is allowed to be succeeded by Atiku, who also identifies as a Fulani, so why should we have Fulani politicians rule this country for 16 years? Atiku was responsible for the actions in a lot of mosques across the north, where they were preaching in mosque that nobody should vote for anybody from Eastern Nigeria. This was what forced Wike into panically trying to now get into heritage denial because he was seeking for acceptance. And when now, despite his denying being Igbo, they didn't accept him, he now, out of anger, said he would destroy that house, which, whether he like it or not, it is money from the South that has kept the PDP going. Dele Momodu, was he a member of our party? He's not now. Dele Momodu is not a PDP. He just joined. These are just hired people. They were people who were never part of us. Dele Momodu, Kenneth Okonkwo, all these people were just there to work for Atiku. So they would just parrot these things. If Atiku is real, what they will do is say, fine, zone to the south. And all of them in the north, the same amount of energy, because they will all participate in the primary. They will then participate and make sure it is zoned to the southeast. Nobody did that. It was because Atiku refused. Him and other people refused. The issue of Abiola's June 12th. It's the same thing. When they finish ruling in the north and they wanted to now come to the south, some of them will come together and say, no, that was how the June 12th was annulled by a band of Northerners. If Atiku said that is what happened, what about today? Now, this is June. Make statement, you support the south is easy. The reasons the Northerners left with Atiku to form MPDP and then work to bring Buhari to power was because of zoning. So that was why we considered everything to the Northerners. 2019, now. If you realize that the mistake of the party in 2023 was not respecting the zoning, say it now. If Atiku says this tomorrow, in realization of my mistake of 2023, I hereby support that the zoning goes to 22 southeast. Check what will happen. The party will be peaceful. That's why you're hearing Northerners begging him. The last Northerner that talked to him was Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. Everybody's been begging him. Leave this thing for the South. He refuses. What you're seeing now is the true Atiku. Atiku paid 100 million to our party to take nominations. When he took that nomination, the 100 million was
your party,
us.
What party are you talking about? The PDP?
PDP.
So he gave 100 million to PDP?
He gave us 100 million to collect nomination form. When he did that, gave us that money, the party didn't have money. Wike is only a reaction to Atiku. Atiku Abubakar is the problem of the PDP. Most first-time governors are afraid that their state could be snatched from them are now running over to the APC. Who caused it? Atiku Abubakar. Let Atiku Abubakar, he's now 80 years old. Let him leave. What he's playing out is trying to maximize advantage from the fraudulent creation of states by the army. But we have data to know all this crisis is about the attempt by certain people to exclude the East. Tinubu is not impossible. Tinubu is human. I know that the system is afraid of Peter Obi. We know because they know the truth about well, of course, I know so. The government is aware of Peter Obi's performance in the last elections, and they know he is their main problem, not Atiku. Never mind the fraudulent things that INEC wrote. Those things don't mean nothing. We know Peter Obi was the man of the last election. So if acrobatically they refuse to allow the result to stand, and somehow they now brought Tinubu and imposed Tinubu, good. Tinubu would not forget that the position he holds is like Abacha. Abacha never let Abiola rest because they knew, even though they didn't allow Humphrey Nwosu to announce the election results, Abiola was a person that they had to be afraid of. So if the government today is afraid of Peter Obi, they know a lot about the true numbers of the voting results than they are willing to admit to the general public.
Of all the political parties that are seeking for registration, only ADA has 2 registrations. What could be going on? What drama do you think is playing out with it?
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. What we are seeing is we are having a post-mortem of the monster created by people like Erufai, Buhari, and all who worked with them. You know, why I read Erufai the other day that his job is he wants to undo the devil he did. It's good that it's good that he's now confessing about the evil that he did. But I want you to understand that that evil he is confessing he did hurt a lot of Nigerians and also undermined our democracy. So and there were a lot of the people there, as your people you actually see, who now come together for meeting as members of coalition, and the people that actually instrumented this evil upon the country. You see, they didn't understand it. These are the people who did bring about this.
Amechi did not bring in Tinubu. At least
yes, Atiku did.
Atiku did.
Yes, Amechi did. Yes, Amechi did. Yes, Atiku did. Let me explain. In 2013, Atiku he called it coalition, the same coalition. And that coalition then, yes, it was the MPDP coalition that became a caucus in the PDP. And that particular caucus, we refused to join it because at that time, I was a principal counsel to President. And Atiku said that we must zoning, that it's about inclusion, that it is something like the quota system, an affirmative action protocol to make sure the North is included. And that good luck that it is not the turn of the North. It was Atiku. He was at the head of that caucus called MPDP. The inside that caucus was Chibika Nechi, and that was how all of them, together with Tinubu, Buhari, and all, floated that coalition called the APC. That coalition got to power, as we all know. What you can say now is when they got to power, Atiku didn't have the patience to wait on what his creation will bring. When he saw that Tinubu Buhari was preparing to run for a second term, he now left that coalition called APC and ran back to PDP. The PDP recognized that the reason why he left was because of his complaint of the inclusion of the North and allowed only Northerners to run for the 2019 election
2019,
in the
absolutely.
PDP. That was why nobody from the South competed against Atiku. Atiku emerged. Now, he didn't win, or he won, but he wasn't strong enough to get it from Buhari, who
Buhari
published
did.
results he won, and Atiku ran away to Dubai. Now, at the end of the 8 years of Buhari, Nigerians expect Atiku to understand that the soup he helped to cook has matured for 8 years. It is now the turn of the South to cook their own soup, which is using zoning to allow the thing to go. And when Atiku refused, it was Atiku's refusal to allow the South inclusion after 8 years of the North that forced us in the PDP out of anger to start what you can today call the youth movement, which transmuted into the obedient movement when we got Peter Obi to agree to head that movement. So Atiku is part and parcel of the problems that has gotten us where we are. If Atiku had respected inclusion, I don't think he would have been running for election in a way that would have damaged the opposition. It was because Atiku refused to respect the right of the South to become president after 8 years of the North. That was why we left, specifically me and Doyin Okukwe. We left the party and we started the youth movement. Because Doyin asked me, what do we do? I said, listen, the North have done 8 years. We're not getting younger. Let us do this for the South, because what we do, we're in the public space. I and him get front row seats in front of television. I recognize the clout that I had. So I started that crusading for the Southerner, but I had no candidate. So after we now built some quality of understanding among some people came to join us. You know, that's why today when I see someone like my friend who came from APC to join me, like Kenneth Okonkwo, and I said, what is he doing? He doesn't even know the reason why we did the obedient movement. He's now running to go, he's going to work with Atiku. Maybe they bought him to come and speak. I said, no, Kenneth, the reason why we did the movement is to force inclusion. Because people like Atiku and some others in the North, you know, with the Fulani mindset of not allowing another people participation, because I believe the Fulani's success over the Hausa since the British left makes them to think that the other parts of the country will also respect them extrapolitically, also playing their success over the Hausa states in the rest of the country. I don't think so. That will amount to colonialism of the settler form. And that's why we said we cannot allow one tribe to rule for 18 years, for 16 years. And that's what it will be if Buhari, who identifies as a Fulani, is allowed to be succeeded by Atiku, who also identifies as a Fulani. So why should we have Fulani politicians rule this country for 16 years? That was why we said no, and that was why we started the youth movement. Secondly, the Fulani war across the Sahel had just come to Nigeria, and because it was betting in Nigeria, I believe since Buhari could not control the Fulani militiamen who were coming from Mali, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, and other places to fight in Nigeria, that no Fulani politician can be trusted to hold down the Fulani militiamen. As you can now see in the Northwest, the governors and politicians are even allowing the Fulani militias and terrorists to sit on top of the table because they think they can now use the militiamen to hold land. Because historically, the Fulanis do not have the land, they don't have the numbers to maintain their positions of entitlement that have been their mainstay since the British left. So for me, it is bigger than that. And there were people in the South who didn't understand this strategy. It was even during that period when Atiku started influencing behaviors in mosque to say that nobody should vote for anybody from Eastern Nigeria. You heard me well. Let me repeat it now. Atiku was responsible for the actions in a lot of mosques across the north, where they were preaching in mosque that nobody should vote for anybody from Eastern Nigeria. This was what forced Wike into panically trying to now get into heritage denial. How can you start denying heritage? Iguacha, which is today renamed Port Harcourt from 1913 to honor Lord Vernon Harcourt, Iguacha is part of the Arab Confederacy territory, which lasted from 1640 to 1903. They were only defeated after the Anglo-Arab Wars. And that was why, after that, the British now from 1901 started national district officers. Nobody had anything like DCs or DOs before 1901. It was in 1901 that the British defeated the Arab Confederacy. And when the Confederacy was in power, Iguacha, today's Port Harcourt, was a principal port of the Arab Confederacy. Quote me. Everybody in River State today were under the Arab Confederacy. The only people who were not under the Arab Confederacy are the Ogonis, who were brought there after the Emancipation Proclamation. Because the Ogonis are historically of the Bantu Congo stock. They came, and as the slave trade ended, they were brought back from Warri and from Bonny and situated where they are today in the greater Port Harcourt area. So we now said, why will Wike, my brother, be denying heritage? Because he was seeking for acceptance. And when now, despite his denying being able, they didn't accept him, he now, out of anger, said he would destroy that house. Which, whether he like it or not, it is money from the South that has kept the PDP going. All of them who run for election, from Yaradua to whoever, money from the South, and mostly from that old Eastern region, is what powers the PDP. So why wouldn't you allow Eastern region participation in a game of inclusion premised on zoning? And that's why you see a lot of us from the East got angry. Wike was angry, insisting on what he's doing. If you ask him that, he'll say yes. He insists it has to come to the South. I also said yes, it has to come to the South. And we did it, and then we were able to get Peter Obi to declare and agree to run on our platform, which was called the Obedient Movement. I am doing
Okay.
Yes.
But many would say, especially someone like Dele Momodu, that the chairman of the zoning committee at that time was Wike's friend, Samuel Otom of Benue State. That Atiku was opinion that the PDP ticket be micro-zoned to southeast, but that it was Wike who insisted that it just be zoned to the south, knowing that amongst all the governors in the south, amongst all the people in the south, he has more wealth in terms of money to get garner the delegates to vote for him. And that would have been disenfranchised a Peter Obi. Peter Obi would not stand a chance to win a Wike in primaries. So that Atiku wouldn't have contested if Wike had agreed that the ticket be micro-zoned to southeast. But Wike just wanted it to be zoned to the south so that he can participate. Because if it was micro-zoned to the southeast, Wike cannot participate. Are you countering this particular allegation right now?
Those things you hear are just rhetorics. They are lies. When we had it first, we privately sent somebody from mainstream media to Atiku to say publicly. He denied it. He checked away. Those are social media planted lies. It's not true. If Atiku is such a person, why is he not now allowing it to come to the East? Ask yourself. Today. How come he's still insisting he must be present? He must run. It has to be him.
I thought there would be agreement that he would adopt somebody from the South to run.
Leave that story. Listen, forget that story. I know Atiku more than you do. And I'm in front of the game. These people, Dele Momodu, was he a member of our party? He's not now. Dele Momodu is not a PDP. He just joined. These are just hired people. There were people who were never part of us. Dele Momodu, Kenneth Okonkwo, all these people were just there to work for Atiku. So they would just parrot these things. When we heard that story that Atiku saying he should go to Southeast, we privately sent journalists from mainstream media to go talk to Atiku. Denied it. Check any of the mainstream media papers. You will not see it. Those things are social media stories. If Atiku is real, what they will do is say, fine, zone it to the south. And all of them in the north, the same amount of energy, because they will all participate in the primary. They will then participate and make sure it is zoned to the southeast. Nobody did that. It was because Atiku refused. Him and other people refused. Let me take you back. The issue of Abiola's June 12th. It's the same thing. When they finish ruling in the north and they want it to now come to the south, some of them will come together and say, no, that was how the June 12th was annulled by a band of northerners. The same thing. It has gotten to the issue of the party. Now you can see it. If Atiku say that is what happened, what about today? Now, this is June. Make statement you support the Southeast. Easy. He knows very well that the party is about now to make an open statement to zone the presidency to the South. That's why, not allowing the party to say anything, he now pulls out, he wants to do coalition. We said no problem. But the fundamental reasons why we left to start the youth movement, which will later got Peter Obi to head, still persist. So whether you make the argument in the party, like we made the argument in party in 2019, that the reasons the Northerners left with Atiku to form MPDP and then work to bring Buhari to power was because of zoning. So that was why we considered everything to the Northerners. 2019 now is now. If you realize that the mistake of the party in 2023 was not respecting the zoning, say it now. If Atiku says this tomorrow, in realization of my mistake of 2023, I hereby support that the zoning goes to 22 Southeast. Check what will happen. The party will be peaceful. That's why you're hearing Northerners begging him. The last Northerner that talked to him was Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. Everybody's been begging him. Leave this thing for the South. He refuses. What you're seeing now is the true Atiku. Don't listen to people talk crap, people who are not part of us. I am a member till today of the PDP. I've not left. I started the youth movement because I learned from Atiku the way he did MPDP. So we did the youth movement, and then we were able to get Peter. We had hunted Peter. Peter came, and Peter was never part of what we were doing. Peter refused to go against Atiku. He told me that privately, and I saw in him a polite Catholic gentleman. But later on, we were successful in blackmailing Peter for Peter to agree to run. And when he ran, the rest they say is history. So what we are saying is, if you're now talking about us sitting down outside the party to sit down to talk, you have to do an honest postmortem of why we left the party and started the youth movement, which you later got Peter to head, which you now call the Biden movement. If you now want us to bring back that youth movement back to aid the party and then help to rebuild the party, it's very easy. Put Peter there, zone to the South. And we couldn't do that zoning because, forget all the stories you hear about who is somebody's friend. Atiku paid 100 million to our party to take nominations. When he took that nomination, the 100 million was
your party, sir,
us.
what party are you talking about? The PDP?
PDP.
So he gave 100 million to PDP.
He gave us 100 million to collect nomination form. When he did that, gave us that money, the party didn't have money.
Okay.
So when the party didn't have money, the party was now using that thing. I was amongst members of Ohaneze Imobi, Ohaneze Elders Forum. I am a member of the Ohaneze Elders Council. I went with the Ohaneze president. We were led that time by Professor George Obiozo. We went to visit the PDP chairman at his home in Maitama. And we spoke. Privately, the chairman took me aside, said, Kachi, I said, sir, he said, listen, this man has given us money, and we're using that money now to run the party. If any of you want us to change zoning, you will have to find a way to give us this money that the man gave us. And we're using the money. That is just the truth. The man was honest. The man later on, because they were spending the money, all those things couldn't happen. The problem with Wike is Wike doesn't have good press. So he couldn't get his own story out. That's why they told those stories and they put it on him as if he is the issue. He's not the issue. Wike is only a reaction to Atiku. Atiku Abubakar is the problem of the PDP, not Wike. Wike is simply a reaction. What about me and Doyin Okukwe, who finally put Peter Obi out? Are we also not part of it? We are reacting to Atiku. That's just the truth. If Atiku had done what an elder statesman will do, realizing that he was part of those who built a coalition that brought Buhari to power, and realizing that Buhari's 8 years was on behalf of North, he would have allowed the zoning to take place, supported it to the South, zoning to the South, the same way he was able to amass them, work with Peter, get it to the Southeast, and that's all. There is no way Wike will have defeated. After all, he defeated Wike at the primary. So he could have used such clout to defeat Wike, added to Peter and other people from the southeast and other people around him. This is the party's position. But when the party's leadership was weak, we suffered it. And because we suffered it, our party, the position became broken. Because it was broken, you can see right now, the democracy doesn't even have a very low position because the opposition currently is divided. And that's the problem. So a divided opposition in a democracy not only imperils the democracy, it undermines active governance in the country. You can see it now. Governors are running the other side because they are afraid. The APC have not been very sincere in terms of respecting the protocols of free and fair election. And that's why most first-time governors are afraid that their states could be snatched from them are now running over to the APC so that they can feel comfortable for their re-election. That's what's going on. But who caused it? Atiku Abubakar. Let Atiku Abubakar, he's now 80 years old. Let him leave. What he's playing at is trying to maximize advantage from the fraudulent creation of states by the army. But we have data to know that we know how to defeat everything that he has done. What we did with Peter Obi is called ethnic penetration. We don't stay in Abuja and give the say-sos to one man who could be anybody to look after Benue, look after Taraba, look at Plateau, look at Niger. No, we were going to the people, person by person, one by one, tribe by tribe, ethnicity by ethnicity. We made the Jaba on their own. We made the Jamba on their own. We made the Birom on their own. We talked to TV people on their own. Peter Obi went to see TV people who were displaced, who were living in IDP camps. Atiku couldn't go. Tinubu couldn't go because they were afraid of offending the Fulani people who were in power, and Buhari was running because the war that time we saw it. We saw the ethnic cleansing. That was the result that they have embraced as a way to gain land. So we knew that in the Middle Belt, Hausas are being killed, TV people are being killed in the Benue Valley, the people of Kaka and the Pansa were being killed in the Mambila Plains, and we saw that the Biroms were being displaced in Plateau. We met these people one-on-one. We did what we called ethnic penetration. We know those ethnic doesn't have to do with North and South. No, it does with Nigerians one-on-one. And that's what we did. And we do it again. So we don't believe all this crap they are talking about. If Atiku is sincere, let him do what everybody is telling him. Announce that we want to do, can only do it together as a united opposition. Not as one gang leading. No, let us have an inclusive country. Atiku is not fair. He became a Nigerian in 1961. And after that, because Atiku was originally born in German Cameroon. So after the Second World War, Germany lost Cameroon to the Allies, who now shared it among the French and the English. So the English now merged in 1961 through the plebiscite, their own part of Cameroon and the north with northern Nigeria. And that's how Atiku became a Nigerian. And I think he has had enough. So let him understand we are doing nation building where inclusion of all parts of Nigeria is utmostly important. And that's what we're saying. All this crisis is about the attempt by certain people to exclude the East. That was the reasons why we came out of fear.
Going back to that accusation,
Yes.
Peter Obi is actively part of this coalition led by Atiku Abubakar. Every meeting that they have held, Peter Obi has attended, and we saw videos and evidences of him attending such meetings. How is it that Peter Obi may not be aware of these plans that you're talking about, and he's still attending such meetings?
Peter Obi knows. Peter Obi is aware. But the idea he's doing is, let it not be that he's the one who won't attend and he is not going to go there to damage the coalition. He said, let him attend. Because even before he did the first meeting, some of them foolishly exposed what was in their mind. It's okay, Peter's coming. I think you're present, Peter VP. And that was what made me to put out some circulars to say, no, that we, members of the Biden movement, will not support Peter Obi if he ever goes there to become second fiddle. And that stands till this minute. So we say the only way we want a Nigeria of Peter Obi's dream, The only way it can be implemented is if Peter Obi is at the head of that thing. Secondly, we needed to also allow inclusion. You can't put one Fulani man after 8 years of one Fulani president. No. Allow inclusion. And right now that you have this Fulani war across Nigeria, it will be dangerous to allow a Fulani politician as president, because he will not, like Buhari, be able to stop the Fulani militias who are currently killing along the Benue Basin, in the Plateau Ranges, the Taraba areas. Of course, you know the story about Kaduna State. And this is what we're saying. Since you people have done 8 years, allow this thing that's already in the South for 2 years now to continue being in the South. So there's nothing wrong with Peter Obi attending the coalition meetings. But I can tell you here for sure, Peter Obi will not run as vice president to anybody. The earlier those attending the meeting understand, the better. Peter is attending the meeting so that he will be able to learn all the people, talk to them, and then later on, if Atiku refuses, you can be able to convince them one-on-one on his own. That's what we're doing. Peter Obi will never gain our support if he falls our hands. And the only thing we want is that he will run. So that's it. We started in 2023. It has now grown big. What I can tell you is that we can now include more people who didn't believe what we're doing was going to work. Now that they have seen the efficacy of our calibrations, we just beg them to come. Let us build a new Nigeria. As you can see, Tinubu still does not have a strategy on how to deal with the Fulani war across Nigeria. Because for him to go to Benue and be telling them it is communal clash, that tells you there is something ethically wrong with the intelligence that Tinubu as president is getting from those who are advising him from the intelligence field.
Okay, we'll get to the security issue. There's a lot to talk about security, but I'd love us to, round up with the political aspect of this conversation before we get to the security. Now, speaking about the political aspect, you did mention Doyin Kube joining you and all that. Someone has even reminded me here now that Doyin Kube, at the end of the day, left your bloc to join the ruling party, the APC, before he died. And then also, how do you think? A lot of people have said that no, Tinubu is not an easy win. It's not somebody you win easily in politics. So, how do you think that going without the opposition being united again, that it will be easy to win a Bola Ahmed Tinubu, especially as an incumbent? How do you think that would happen? Because with the look of things now, there may be a likelihood that an El Rufai and Atiku Abubakar may form their own coalition, and Peter Obi may go his own way. How possible is it for Tinubu to be defeated?
Tinubu is a politician. Don't forget, there was a time we had somebody stronger than Tinubu. The man's name is Sani Abacha. Everybody was afraid of what would happen. But you saw how it all happened. Abacha left. There was a time everyone was afraid of Babangida. But at the end of the day, he left. So it's the aggregated strength and passion from the people that sees these outcomes. Tinubu is not impossible. Tinubu is human. Remember what Amechi said, how Kano State decided this governorship. The people voted and stood there, and when the government people called to try to change the result, and they saw that you had up to 500 people on the field, on the streets, they clamped down. So people accept that politicians will make our votes not count. That's when it will work. But when will the people vote and stand there and say our vote must count, and we then don't have leaders who try to dissuade us, politicians will respect what we want. It is when we don't want it and then we go home to relax. People in Kanu, do they have two heads? No. So that Kanu has shown us how to do it. We can do it. Nothing is impossible. If we want to vote and say our votes will count, how many people will they kill? That's what you understand. And nobody wants to kill people like that, because throwing a stone into the marketplace, it could hit your mom. It could hit somebody you know. This is the issue. Once we want to have our voices respected by government, we vote, we will stay there. We know how to do it. What I do, I mobilize. I mobilize. Peter asked me, you tell me to do this, what does it cost? I said, don't worry about what it costs. 10% of what you spent in Port Harcourt is all I know. I don't want nothing. Just say yes. So when you see some people say, Peter Obi let me down, because they don't know what we're doing. I am grateful. Peter Obi listened to what we said and agreed, changed his mind, and came to head what we're doing. So for me, I owe him thank you. It is those who came in to come and join us, maybe from APC or somewhere else, that are now looking for something. They don't get to say, Peter Obi supported me. They're not part of what we're doing. Kenneth Okonkwo is not part of us. He doesn't know what he came from APC to join us. He wasn't part of what we're doing. Never. So if he now goes and Atiku now offers him money to be working for him, and he start talking like this, I don't take such people seriously.
Insinuating that he may have taken money for Atiku and he's working for Atiku right now? Is that what you're saying, sir?
My brother, if you see a politician who is not in one place, don't forget who Kenneth is. He's a movie man. He works with the entertainment industry. For him to leave it and now come to politics where we are, you need to have that staying power. I have staying power. I'm a contented person. All my children have left university. So what am I doing again? I live in my own house. I'm talking to you now from my house. I built my own money. And I don't have an EFCC case. So why will anybody frighten me? So I don't need anything from anybody. That's why I can tell you what I want to tell you. If government wants to come and revoke me from my life, waiting again, I'm happy with my young wife. My children are all very happy. So what else do you want? If you're contented with yourself, you wouldn't be messed up with threats by other parties. What for? Another human being tell me what to do. When I decided, I said, this is what I'll do. I told to Peter Obi said no. But later on, after I have complained to people like Okwadike, Chief SNO Keke, they called him and said, how can you say no? Why are you? Peter said what? And I can tell you so. We forced him.
So Peter Obi didn't want to contest in 2023. Is that what you're saying?
He never wanted to contest against Atiku.
Oh.
Never.
Oh, so he was so loyal to Atiku.
He never wanted to go against Atiku.
So he was so loyal to Atiku that he never wanted to contest at the same time with Atiku.
Against Atiku. That was just the truth. And that I found out. First, I got angry. There were some of my friends like Namde Dixon. When I was happy, I said, calm down. This is a game. There are ways to do it. I know I have done these things before. In 2010, I did the same thing with my friend and brother Hope Uzodimma. I told him to run. He refused. I know what I did. I went and printed posters. He was denying it until 2 months. He called me. He said, okay, why are you doing this? I said, run. Today, he's governor Nimo. So sometimes politicians need people to make up minds for them. Sometimes they are careful, calculating other things. But it is your sincerity of purpose that they will look at. And they said, what do you mean? I said, run. Run. Let us have one of us on that placard. This one, he said, I said, run. And he agreed to run. And this is where we are today. So where are you going to go back? So they hear somebody say, Peter, disappoint you for what? Were you part of us? Kenneth Okonkwo was never part of us. He was not part of, we formed what we formed in the PDP. Kenneth Okonkwo was in APC. He's not part of us now. So how can you come to Peter Obi disappointed you? Disappointed you for what? You came and joined us. Did you ask us what we're doing? You just want to follow any wave that is on without knowing the fundamentals that actually staged and in place that particular movement. It was anger. People took the anger in different ways. You could see how Wike is doing with that anger. It is because of that anger he says, okay, this thing where you say that we spend money to build, you say it won't be useful to us. Let us destroy it. That is what Wike is doing right now, whether you like it or not. But there are reasons.
The state of the PDP right now? It doesn't have any chance of surviving.
Oh, yes, it does. By November, the tenure of the current people will be over. Nothing lasts forever. So when those tenures are over, they will go. You go back to convention.
Wike will not leech on PDP and continue because
Wike, what does Wike is not an official.
Someone who fights to finish.
Listen to me. Gara will end when the tenure of the current party executives end. People who are executives, they are statute mandated to rest work. It's not by force. So people should respect what's going on and don't try to force us into doing what we don't want to do.
So are you saying that if that happens, then that means the PDP may have chances of being a formidable opposition in 2027, sir?
If that happens and the PDP starts behaving, it took the governors this long, 2 years, before they woke up to try to do something. Good. You can see some gentlemen, my friends and brothers who still follow Wike, like Okezi Ekpazo, like Gburugburu. There are no more governors, so they can't say what happens. So yes, the only person who is governor there in their old gang is Sheyi Makinde, and right now I don't think Sheyi is on the same page with Wike. This is how these things work. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever in life. Nothing lasts forever. So when the tenure of this current executive ends and they go away and new people come, then we can start afresh to look at. And for all I know, the governors have assured me that they will make sure that the presidency is zoned to the south. So that's what we're looking at. So let us wait and look at it. So even if the ADA is not registered, we can work with PDP, but let us wait. Let us
Okay,
wait.
now you did mention the ADA, the Fulani thingy, and all that. You do recall that Hakim Baba Ahmed had mentioned a few stuffs which appeared like a threat. Like one of the things he said is that nobody will rig the 2027 election and go scot-free, something like that. And then he also did mention that he is of the opinion that most of these old school politicians should leave the stage for younger ones. He mentioned Atiku Abubakar one. He mentioned Chibuike Amechi. He mentioned Peter Obi too. So if Atiku is not running, Peter Obi is not running, Amechi is not running, perhaps El Rufai will not run too. So who are the new, vibrant and young politicians that would likely lead the opposition in 2027? Ishawari, for instance, could it be?
Shawari is not a politician.
Sir. What
So
is it?
Shawari is not a politician. Shawari is just running as a spoiler. I don't think he's running to win because if you check, he works alone. Doesn't even work with anybody. Do you see him do anything with anybody? No,
He's
he's just on
working
his
with the
own.
youth. He's working with the youth because he doesn't
What
want to be
youths?
involved with
Which
the
youths?
corrupt
Youths
people.
of where?
You know the people in system now are corrupt. He said he doesn't want to
If
be
they are
involved with
working with
corrupt.
the youth, how come the youths are with Peter? Ask yourself. If
Mm.
Shawari is with the youth, how come the youths are with Peter Obi? So forget those things. We know who is who. I was in this politics before they came to join us. So please, we have serious fundamental national issues. We've gotten to a place. There are people who come here, they don't know what the problem is. We're trying to build an inclusive Nigeria where everybody, despite what the soldiers try to do, will now have his own aspirations. What I'm saying is Hakim Baba Ahmed has made his opinion, and we've heard that. It is left for the people he's talking to listen. My own opinion is that nobody should be excluded. Everybody should respect the need for inclusion. We are now at another June 12th period when Babangida ruled, and then when it got to the turn of the South, some politicians in the North made sure it was annulled, and the Southerner who won was not given. The same thing happened in 2023 when it got to the turn and we voted with Peter. Buhari refused, annulled the election, and acrobatically announced Tinubu midnight. We didn't worry. We moved on with
You
it.
think you
So
think Barry was responsible for that, sir?
Buhari is the man at the head of the party. The buck stops on his table. He is the executive president of Nigeria. It was under Buhari that the voter suppression happened. It was under Buhari that all the violence happened. So you're not going to call someone else. No, there were no two people in power. Only Buhari was in power. And during his time, he had this ethnic cabal controlling the police, the DSS, the army, the INEC, and the presidency. And that was how they combinedly brought their efforts to annul the people's vote. And when we say why the annulment, they said glitch. You can see the same glitch reoccurring again in the examinations of our children. It is due to our complaint that they now redid it. So whatever it is, Nigeria right now is captured, and that under that state capture, you're seeing what is going on, which a lot of us are not happy about. So what can we do? I have said it. If the Northerners are now willing to zone the president to the south, since Buhari has done 8 years for the north, Tinubu can rule forever. That's what I said. That because why? Tinubu is a southerner. You can't tell me what has Tinubu done. I can tell you, yes, even though I'm not happy, he has 4 ministers from Ogun State and 5 ministers for the Southeast. Tinubu have stopped the unknown government sting operation in the East. That, as far as I'm concerned, was a government sting operation perpetrated by elements of the Buhari
Oh,
administration.
oh,
As I'm
sir.
talking to you today, the unknown government sting operation, though no more occurs in the East. Because why? The current administration has stopped all federal fundings for that sting operation. So if you ask me what has Tinubu done for the East, I will tell you unknown government sting operation has ended. And for me, that is a plus. For me, that is a take home. So it's not totally no there for us. No, there are also some take homes I can tell you I have gotten since Tinubu became president, even though I condemn his continued embrace of nepotism as policy of his state. That's why I say that it is wrong for Ogun State to have 4 ministers and the Southeast have 5. It is wrong, very, very wrong, and I condemn nepotism in all forms, as I condemned it during the
Okay.
Buhari
All
presidency.
right, sir. There's quite a lot for us to talk about this, and 2027 is still a long time to come. I do not know how much time both the coalition, Peter Obi, and the rest people would have before the election. It's a lot of people are worried, especially the obedience or people who support Peter Obi, because INEC just listed names of some political parties that are seeking for registration yesterday, and the obedience, incidentally, were part of the organizations seeking to register a political party. Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes, I am aware of the news around ADA and what it is that they are doing in regards to registration, multiplicity of I've heard everything INEC said. I also spoke to some people at INEC this afternoon to get their final issues and where we are, because you cannot be a principal player without getting first-hand information from some of these people. So sometimes it don't just depend on what you read on the social media, because that's the only way you get the truth. You know, you will subtract minus and then add, then you'll be able to arrive. So whenever the news breaks, I normally cool down to listen more before I can get the real thing that I
Okay.
can go to bed
All right,
with.
sir.